The M45 Quad Mount was a weapon mounting consisting of 4 of the HB, or heavy barrel, 50 caliber M2 Browning machine guns variant mounted in pairs on each side of an open, electrically powered turret. It was developed by the W.L.Maxson Corporation to replace the earlier M33 twin mount. Although designed as an anti-aircraft weapon, it was also used against ground targets. Introduced in 1943 during World War II, it remained in U.S. service as late as the Vietnam War. History. In order to develop a mobile anti-aircraft weapon, several 0.5-inch twin machine gun mounts were tested on the chassis of the M2 half-track, including Bendix, Martin Aircraft Company, and Maxson. The Maxson M33 turret mount was preferred and, on the larger M3 half-track, was accepted for service in 1942 as the M13 multiple gun motor carriage. The mount was also used on the similar M5 half-track as the M14 multiple gun motor carriage. Experimentally, the quad mount was also tested in 1942 on a M3 light tank in place of the tank's turret, but the project was not proceeded with, even as production of the 2 MGMC vehicles was underway. There was work to increase the firepower. Reworking the M33 to take 4 machine guns gave the M45 mounting. The M45 Quad Mount was the principal weapon of highly mobile anti-aircraft artillery battalions deployed in the European theater during World War II. These battalions provided invaluable air defense to much larger units, particularly field artillery. The M45 Quad Mount units served as a very strong deterrent to strafing runs by enemy warplanes, as, in addition to the gross firepower, its quartet of Browning M2 HB heavy barrel, 50 caliber guns were capable of being tuned to converge upon a single point at distances which could be reset while in use. Multiple gun mounts were developed for the M2 Browning because the M2's rate of fire for a single gun was too low for anti-aircraft use. The M45 found use throughout the war as a land-based weapon, particularly during the Battle of the Bulge. Although the Allies achieved air supremacy by the invasion of Normandy in June 1944, German attack runs were still a threat. German fighter bombers could approach and attack at low altitude and then quickly retreat to avoid Allied fighters. The Luftwaffe also mustered a large number of planes for the massive Operation Bodenplatte New Year's Day 1945 attack. On March 7, 1945, when the U.S. Army discovered the Ludendorff Bridge intact across the Rhine, M45 armed U.S. half-tracks defended the American troops crossing the bridge on March 9, 1945 to great effect. At Oppenheim, when the Allies were gathering to make a massive push after crossing the River Rhine, 248 German warplanes were used in an effort to destroy the bridge first. U.S. Army anti-aircraft artillery battalions massed, shot down 30% of the attacking force mainly with M45 quad mounts and prevented the bridge from being touched before the U.S. Third Army went into Germany. The M45 Quad Mount was of little use against the new, fast-flying planes of the Jet H. However, it was used against infantry targets in U.S. post-war service. TCM-20. The TCM-20 was a post-war Israeli development of the M45 mount, equipped with two 20mm Hispano-Suiza HS. 404 cannons in lieu of machine guns. In frontline Israeli service, it was replaced by the M163 Vulcan air defense system in the 1970s, but some reserve units still used TCM-20s into the 1980s. The weapon was also exported to several Third World countries. Mountings. During World War II, the M45 turret was mounted on two specific systems, the M16 multiple gun motor carriage and the M51 multiple machine gun carriage. When mounted on the M20 trailer, it was known as the M55 machine gun trailer mount, but this system had not finished testing before the cessation of hostilities. M51s were withdrawn from service by the end of World War II in favor of the M55. During the Korean War, the M55 and M16 saw extensive combat, and lessons learned in Korea led to the conversion of an additional 1,200 M3 half-tracks into the M16A1 variant by adding an M45 turret. These can be identified by the lack of fold-down armor and rear troop door on the crew compartment, and were often fitted with the roller front bumper instead of the winch bumper fitted to all M16s. In 1954, an additional modification was made to roughly 700 M16 MGMCs, adding the rear troop door and bolting the fold-down armor in the up position. This modification became known as the M16A2 MGMC. The M55 received a new, more powerful generator in the 1960s and served through the Vietnam War, usually mounted in the back of an M35 2.5-ton or M54 5-ton truck. Operation. The M45 is operated by two loaders and one gunner. The mount is capable of traversing a full 360 degrees around, with an angle elevation between -10 and +90 degrees. Traverse and elevation are electrically driven, powered by two rechargeable 6-volt batteries. All four guns could be fired at once, but standard practice was to alternate between firing the upper and lower pair of guns, allowing one pair to cool while the other was in use. This allowed for longer periods of action as overheating of the gun barrels was lessened. The Tombstone Model M2 ammunition chests held 200 rounds apiece, with one ammunition chest on an M45 system holding 10 times as many rounds as each of the 420-round 20mm magazines of the German flak-fueling system held, with each M2 ammo chest weighing 89 pounds apiece when full.